Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at betsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donuts Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
All right. We are coming in now with the Dark Shadows segment. First of all, before we start with this, I have to welcome the town of Agawam to our show. We are being broadcast on television in 3 local communities across the world on radio. All this, we got this huge antenna
across
in the back
the
here.
world.
Yeah, it's a huge antenna out in the back. It goes 3 streets. So joining us this morning, a friend of mine that I had the honor of meeting many years ago when I first got into the world of the paranormal. And I got to say, and I know that he laughs every time I say this, literally the first paranormal celebrity that I ever met. Yes, you are, Jeffrey. That is the way it is. Mr. Jeff Belanger. Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for coming in from the dark side of Southbridge. I mean, wahoo.
Good morning. What's going on?
Not much, man. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while.
I just got up.
Oh, okay.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
We've been up since 4.
I was going to shower, but I'm like, you can't smell me. I'll just put on a hat.
There we go. This isn't 4D or 5D. That'll be the next thing, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But, well, when you get to 5D, we'll have smell-o-vision.
Okay.
And,
Smell-o-vision? I don't think so.
Yeah, something along those lines. But, yeah, Jeff, we met years ago. Matter of fact, I reached out to you. I'd seen you on one of the documentaries or something like that you had done an interview for. And when I found out you were in Massachusetts, I started looking you up. And I was like, okay, this is somebody very local, geographically speaking. And then when I saw you did public presentations, I was like, oh, my God, I've got to get this guy to come out to Western Mass. We had Agawam Library book you and bring you out. That was the first time we met. And what was cool was that we hung out afterwards. We went to a local pub and we chased some spirits down for a little bit before you headed back home. But you had like 100 people in that audience. It was very well received. Everybody loved it. It got ranted and raved. And then all of a sudden you're out in Western Mass. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I've seen your presentations pretty much every time you've come out here. Out this way. We've gotten together and outstanding. One of the things that I've always liked about your programs is that you can go to 5 libraries in a row and not one of them is going to be a repetitive program of a previous. They're all different.
Yeah, that's hard to do, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But over the years, I've been gathering so many stories.
Yeah.
So many stories that I'm excited about. Like so many places I've investigated, so many things I've looked into. And for me, a legend, right, is a living, breathing thing. And sometimes I believe there's a paranormal catalyst behind it. There's something really weird that happened that we don't understand, and we're still talking about it, which is why the legend exists. And it's not up to me, it's not up to you, it's up to a whole community that decides to whispering about this thing, about a haunted building or a strange monster in the woods or a UFO sighting, whatever that thing is, we keep talking about it, and it sort of hangs around, it grows, and then some of us go out looking for it, and then we become part of the story.
Yeah.
I was telling them about the TV series you do it with Tony Dunn, right, from Channel 57. Yeah, we've had Tony on a couple of times, and he tells great stories about the fun you guys have had out shooting those shows in the woods and different places and things like that.
Did he tell the story about Bigfoot?
No, he didn't.
Okay, well, here's what was happening. New England Legends. It's you can watch it right now if you're an Amazon Prime member. You can watch it for free. It airs on WGBH out there in Western Mass, usually in the fall around Halloween.
Yep.
And it's a series we've been doing for years, and then that gave birth to my weekly podcast of the same name. It's just a collection of weird stories. So Tony and I are in the woods, and we're working on a Bigfoot story, and we have a Bigfoot costume, and we're filming a reenactment. So we're not trying to fool anybody. We're not trying to fake it. It's just a reenactment means this is sort of what they saw.
Okay.
And I don't have to tell any of you film experts in your audience. Bigfoot, as we all know, is blurry, right? There's no close-up, clear shots of Bigfoot. It's blurry, so it's easy to shoot a recreation. What's not so easy is to figure when you're in the middle of the woods and putting on a Bigfoot costume and going, oh my God, I'm going to be like 100 yards out from anybody else. And some hunter's going to see me and go, I'm going to bang.
Yeah, right.
And this is how I'm going to die.
You're going to end up on a fender on the way out.
Yeah, this is how it is. Right? I'm going to get shot in the woods because someone thinks I'm legit a Bigfoot. Not to ruin the story, but I didn't die.
Well, that's good. You were wearing a costume?
Yeah, both Tony and I had to put that thing on. So,
see, you're the star. I would have pushed that off to somebody else.
No, so thank you for saying that. However, when you work on a PBS production like that, I mean, everybody does everything. It's literally like a 3 or 4 person show.
I've got an ex-wife you can borrow if you need.
Well, thank you. We can use any help we can get. It's a funny thing though, because like both Tony works for PBS on many other productions. I work for Travel Channel on other productions. And, so when you work for a big production on like a network, you don't get final say unless you're an executive producer or something like that. You're kind of an employee and you do what's asked of you to the best of your ability. You can give your creative input and it may get used, it may not get used. The best part about working on our show is that we only answer to each other and our audience. So you really feel like this sense of pride of ownership of
nice.
Wow, we made this thing. We've been nominated for an Emmy twice. We just won a Telly Award. We won a Communicator Award this year. So
awesome!
It's kind of neat. Yeah, and
congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Tony and I would both like to thank our Visa cards for the sponsorship.
No, that's the other part of public television and radio and it's kind of like the public access to we thing. A lot of times, if you can't find the money for it, you just go, I'll just buy that on Amazon and find a cheap version of it to use.
Yeah,
I completely understand that.
You beg your friends for help, and they're like, yeah, I can come out and shoot for you that day. I'll film, or whatever. And you just hey, can you do a graphic for me? I'll buy you pizza and wings and stuff.
Oh, okay, you had me at wings.
Yeah, no, that's how so much of this stuff gets made.
Yeah.
But you know what I love about it is that it's a labor of love, and the hope is that shines through. Is that you're not watching some slick, network thing where they just are appealing to focus groups. You're watching people that just truly love the story, the subject, the space.
Well, I've seen your show, The New England Legends, and as you mentioned, it is on Prime, so you can watch it there. I've always been impressed with how real you make it. It's not about, and this is something that sets you apart from me, you personally, is that you don't make it about drama and sensationalism. For you, this is real. Take it or leave it. I'm not trying to tell you this exists definitely or that. This is the potential evidence I'm putting in front of you. Walk away with it with your own opinion. You're not trying to tell somebody what to believe, and I've always respected that about you.
You know what it is? That's the passion that shows through for all the people that work on that show. Everybody.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you this. So that's what happens with any of these stories, right? If I'm asking you to believe there's a lake monster in Lake Champlain, right? And you can say, well, come on, man, there's 1 million people on that lake every summer. Probably well more than 1 million, right? And there's eyes everywhere, and everyone has a cell phone with a camera. And come on, we would have had some really compelling videos. Someone would have shot one by now. Someone would have captured one by now. I get it. I have all those same thoughts, too, when it comes to some of this stuff. How come we don't have a lake monster in a zoo yet? How come we don't have Bigfoot on display in the Smithsonian? How come, we don't have, like, a ghost captured in some sort of containment unit and we can charge people $5 to see it, right?
Yeah.
I ask those same questions. But I also understand that the universe is not just weirder than we understand, it's weirder than we can understand.
Yeah.
And yet we have so many legitimate witnesses to some of this stuff that have had experiences that have changed their lives.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a court of law, it would be, just based on testimony alone. In a court of law, this would be factual.
Yeah, right.
And,
Yeah, you could bring 10 witnesses who say they all saw the same thing. And if you're in the jury, you'd say, well, shoot, I got to find in favor of these 10 reliable witnesses.
Yep, exactly.
But I love sharing the stories because I also feel like, we live in such a charged time. You can't bring up anything without making it a political discussion.
Yeah.
For example, I prefer apples to oranges. Go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Love it.
Hey, I don't
Love
know.
it.
Start fighting.
I just saw Bigfoot walk behind you, and he had a "Let's Make America Great" hat on again. I don't know what's up with that.
Dang it. Does it look like Tony?
It did. It did look like Tony. That's awesome. So
Tony,
now,
go back to bed.
your other claim to fame, obviously.
He's wait a minute. Tony Dunn's not up this early in the morning either.
No,
You're right.
he'll be calling in at 10.
Yeah.
So besides New England Legends, you are a published author. The last I knew was
right.
13 books, but now what are you up to? 15? Is it now?
I think 17 if you're counting.
17, and then last report that I knew, in 6 different languages, these books were available.
Yeah, I'm really huge in Estonia.
Okay. The Gozerian came from that area, so yeah, we're good with that. That's phenomenal in and of itself. And I've got quite a few of your books physically, and I tend to. Every time I see you, I tend to pick one up, and I always thought that was cool. You sell them at your presentations when you're live, and you autograph them for the individual. I always thought that was awesome.
I've even autographed other people's books. It's a funny thing. Someone came in. So I had my friend Chris Balzano, who's written books as well.
Yeah, I know Chris. Yeah, I know who he is.
Chris wrote a book called Picture Yourself Ghost Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a technical editor on that book, and someone came up to me and they said, I loved your book so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. I so appreciate that. I can't tell you how much that means to me. You really work hard on these things. And please sign it. Of course I would sign your book. It would be my honor. And she hands over Chris Balzano's book. And I look down and I go, oh, I didn't write this one. This is Chris Balzano. And she goes, oh, I thought you were, well, would you sign it anyway? Okay, this is awkward for all of us now. And then I told Chris about it, and he goes, wow, Jeff Belanger autographed my book.
That's cool. That is funny.
Yeah.
So beyond all that, you also keep busy, and I hope I don't offend you with this, okay? I'm going to tell you that flat out.
Okay.
You have, in my opinion, the absolute hardest job in the paranormal community. Without a doubt. You work with the Ghost Adventures series. You do the writing and all the writing and the researching for that. So I told you this, when I do library presentations, I always talk about you. And I encourage people to come see you, to check out your website and all that good stuff. And I always tell the audience that you do have the hardest job in the world of the paranormal. And everybody stops and have this slightly puzzled look like you have on right now. Like, where the hell is he going with this? And I explain that with Ghost Adventures, when at the very beginning of each episode, when Zach is giving the narrative for the location, that's basically a script that you put together and researched and made it, for him to do. And I always say that's the hardest job because your job is to make Zach sound intelligent. And that cracks me right up. And then, as I said, I hope I don't offend you with that. It's all tongue in cheek.
No, I get it.
I've never met Zach, but I always thought that was funny. And the audiences always laugh at it. And it puts you in a very positive light because,
So here's the funny. So that I've been doing Ghost Adventures since the first episode in 2008.
I was just going to ask you, that's what, 12, 13 seasons?
12 years. So first of all, for a TV series to make it 12 years is like you're talking about a show that's in the really like small percentile, right? Shows just don't go that long.
Sure.
And Zach is passionate about these stories and about what he wants out of it. This is his baby, no question. And I'm an employee there, right? Like I try to give him what helps him get his vision across.
Yep.
And I will say this. When we're researching locations, and you guys have no idea how many places we don't film.
Yeah.
Like where you start looking into something and I'm like, hey, Zach, I know it looks like this thing happened, but it just didn't pan out. Like the history doesn't back it up. It didn't, just a rumor. And we don't do it. We kill it. That's that. We're not going. So the thing is, like, unlike other shows that try to go and say if a place is haunted or not haunted, Ghost Adventures goes because we've already heard that it's haunted, right? It's haunted because people have had experiences already. We knew that before we got there.
Yep.
And now we're going to see what these guys can experience. And so
Yeah.
my job is, and this is how I prefer to investigate myself. I want to know everything I can know before I get there. That's me. I want to
Yep.
know
I agree.
history, who was there. I want to like pre-screen people and interviews, and then I can get there and sort of live and breathe that history, because I don't feel that I'm a psychically sensitive person.
Sure.
So I'm not going to fall into some trap of like, oh no, I now know what happened here before I got there. That's not me. So I want to know. And that's how those guys are, and I dig it. And it's been I'll say this too, like for those who don't believe in the paranormal, I've held the same job for 12 years, and my mother will tell you that is the most paranormal proof that you'll ever find.
Yeah.
That's just that, holding the same job for a decade or more.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I always refer to the Ghost Adventures crew as the bad boys on the block. You look at all the different shows that are on today. Everybody's got their own gimmick. And
Sure.
for me, Ghost Adventures, they're the bad boys on the block. Not to say they don't take it seriously. It's just their approach. It has to be different. Otherwise, they're copy. It's not. It's a cookie cutter, and they're definitely not a cookie cutter show.
No.
It's been so funny to see how many cookie cutter shows have come out trying to emulate Ghost Adventures since.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we can get a guy with a tighter shirt, and we can get like, hey, whatever. I mean, look, I believe there's room for everybody in the paranormal.
Sure.
But I also think like, don't be the next Zach Bagans. Be the next you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, let's see what you bring to the table. How
Sure.
you doing?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've me and a couple buddies of mine who've been doing this a long time, we've pitched show ideas. We're like, we want to goof around and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And we get shot down every single time. Rob, like it can get real silly late at night. You get the giggles, like,
Oh yeah.
it get really fun and funny. And so we were like, let's show that. Let's have a ball with it. Can we
Yeah.
show how funny this can be? And every time we're just like, no, we can't do that. It has to be spookier and scarier than the other show. Maybe we could do live human sacrifices. Like,
Hey, did I tell you? I told you I have an ex-wife, right? I mean, we could easily.
there's always a volunteer for that. Like, I could give you a list of people. You
See?
could
Exactly.
on just my list, right?
I mean, I know we do with Agawam Paranormal, we do a lot of charity events, and that's the only way that the public gets to come on any of our investigations is through a charity winning. I don't bring the public. If I did, there'd be no value to a charity donation. So whenever we have somebody, they're always hooked on Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, any of these shows. They watch them religiously. And I always tell them, when you do it for real, it's not the same. And they come out at the end of the night and they realize, like you just pointed out, there's a lot of fun and humor involved in this. If you don't like doing it, why the hell would you do it?
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't be that serious that long. The other thing, too, and I'll apologize on behalf of all paranormal television shows to you, the television show set an expectation that every 7 minutes something paranormal happens before we cut to commercial. So they get out to your event, or anyone's event, really, and okay, it gets dark and we start sneaking around, and they're like, Rob, I've been here for almost 22 minutes, and I have not been attacked or by a demon or a ghost yet.
The wonders of editing.
Yeah, editing.
Right?
Yeah, the cutting room floor.
Right. And so I'll explain to people. So Ghost Adventures, we've got like 20 cameras that are filming over the span of like 3 or 4 days. You've got each camera's getting what? 10, who knows? Anywhere from like 4 to 8 hours of footage each on 20 cameras.
Sure.
Over 3. The investigation is a bunch of cameras with all that footage. Sometimes you don't even know the exciting thing happened until 2 weeks later when you're reviewing footage, reviewing audio, and you go, holy crap, there we got EVP, or right there we got this weird anomaly that we didn't see at the time.
Yep.
And then you put it together, and so what you're watching on these shows is a highlight reel of something
Exactly.
over the span of days. And so, if you watch the hours of like, Rob, it's your turn to get coffee. No, man, I went last time. It's your turn. Okay.
Yep.
2 creams, 1 sugar, right? Like, and then that's not fun to watch.
Yeah, no. But so now we talked a little bit before about how you do different library presentations and speaking engagements, and you're nationwide. You're not just local. You actually travel everywhere with this. Yeah. So
Australia was the furthest I traveled to talk about ghosts, and that's only because you can't go further. You start getting closer to home.
Yeah. How far into the woods can you walk? Halfway, then you're walking out.
That's right.
So you're actually next week. You've got 2 presentations for local libraries. I believe Tuesday you have one for Chicopee, and then Wednesday one here for Westfield from the Athenaeum.
Yeah. So the 14th, which is Tuesday, as you said. Tuesday at 6:30, I'm at the Chicopee Public Library virtually, by the way, and then Wednesday is the Westfield Athenaeum. And the though they're both called New England Legends and they're based on the TV series and the weekly podcast, they will be entirely different shows. There will be no repeated stories between those two. So if you see them both, you'll see 2 hours of weird stories from all over New England. And what I do is I've got this library of legends now, and what's been great. So the podcast, which we've been doing for almost 3 years, every single week, has gotten to the point between the show and the podcast and our Facebook group and our website. People ask, where do you get these stories? The awesome thing is, so many of them come from our listeners now.
Yeah.
So they'll hear an episode of something strange, and they'll be like, "Hey, in my little town in New Hampshire, we've got the Bog Creek Monster," and you go, "What?" Right? So I start looking at that, and so it's just been this awesome thing where so much of it is coming from people in the community. So I've got this massive library of shows. We're about to launch a phone app. It's on Google right now. If you have a Google, an Android phone, it's called the New England Legends app. It'll be on iPhone in a week. It's wherever you are, it's got an interactive map of every story we've ever done, so you can get directions to it. You can
no kidding.
Your own story. Yeah, it's free. So if you,
I'll have to check that out. I've got an iPhone. I'll check that out next week.
Yeah. So it's in the final review process, which is out of our hands at this point. But it's really cool, right? And the whole idea is to create more of a sense of community, because these stories, they connect us to our past.
Yeah.
They connect us to each other when we share them. They allow us to ponder the big questions, is there life after death? Are we alone in the universe? Do we know every creature in the woods around us? Those are the biggies. And when you talk about some of these stories, you get to ask those questions, and we get to strip out horrible things like politics and religion.
Yeah.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place, definitely. Yeah.
It's free of any sort of politically charged, although, the apples orange thing, I guess it could get that way, but we try to manage the anger.
So you actually know John Brightman, right?
Yeah, I met John a few times. Yeah.
John and I are friends too. We did a paranormal convention here in Springfield a couple of years ago, and I was thrown up on a panel. It was just John and I. And what was interesting was John's experience was more global, whereas mine was much more local. And it was cool. I had never met him before. I'm literally standing in a doorway, and this 6'5" guy comes over and stands next to me and just starts chatting. And I had no idea who this guy was. Come to find out, it was John. So we're sitting up. Now, we had never met. We're sitting up on a panel. We were up there for an hour together. Within 30 minutes, we were finishing each other's sentences. It was awesome. And we've just been friends ever since then. And he reminded me a lot of you, which is why I asked him, because extremely personable, extremely professional, very giving with his experience and his stories. I thought of you right away. I was like,
I have a lot less tattoos than John.
Yes, definitely that.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And we had him on Ghost Adventures too. We had him on, we had him on an episode, maybe 2. I don't remember. At least
it was a while back.
Yep.
And it was a while back. But it's that's the thing. I think So I was a writer first. When I went to school, I wanted to be a writer. I started writing for newspapers as a journalist and a feature writer, and that's turned into the books and everything else that I do.
Yep.
And I've always said that any artist, but a writer, your job is to tell the truth.
Sure.
And the more truthy you can be, the more honest you can be and open, the more it resonates with people. Right? If you have anything to hide, if anyone suspects that you're leaving something out or being cagey or dodgy, it falls apart. It all falls apart. And that's true of music. It's true of painting. It's true of poetry. It's true of any creative endeavor, right? You've got to be naked and honest. And you got to be able to take it when someone goes, yeah, no way. You didn't see a ghost. There's no such thing as ghosts. Therefore, you didn't see one.
Yeah.
and which is an insane argument to me. But I get it. I get that person is speaking from their own worldview.
Yeah.
It would be like me saying, maybe I live in India and I tell you there's no such thing as the Atlantic Ocean. You're like, dude, I go there every summer. We get like clam cakes and stuff. Like, what are you talking about? I swam in it. I've fished in it. I've been in a boat. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
Well, why do you say that? Because I've never seen it.
Yep.
Well, I've never seen Mars up close, but I think it's there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one of those things where I don't believe in it, therefore it can't exist. And this speaks, by the way. Now we're getting political. Here it is. Right?
Okay, political. Bring it out.
We just got political.
Change your hat.
Yes. I believe. I believe in A, therefore B must be wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And so belief has become a substitute for truth. And I'm always very careful. And you don't believe me, look at Facebook. It's horrible. God.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like this is a thing I believe, therefore it's true and you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right, and my belief is the only truth.
That's right. 2 + 2 is 7. Do not argue with me.
Right.
No.
But wait, if I have 2 apples and 2 more apples, we have 7 oranges? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so this is what it comes down to. So instead, can we use these stories as a way to like calm people down too? Because when I run into someone who considers themselves skeptical or whatever, I'll say like, then just enjoy the story. You like a good ghost story, right? Or a good monster story. Then just shut up and enjoy the story. And to kind of like sink in.
Yeah.
If the story exists, the story is real. You can't argue with the story. If you can argue with the stuff behind it, you can think like, well, there's no such thing as monsters or ghosts, but that's your beliefs, and other people do believe in them. And here we are, sitting virtually in a library, talking about these wonderful stories that make our towns and communities unique in a time when they're losing their identity.
Exactly.
In a time when my town looks just like your town. There's a Home Depot and a McDonald's and box stores and our main street looks just like your main street, but we've got like this little haunted building tucked out of the way. And you've got this weird monster in the woods, and suddenly like that's the thing that can make our community different than all the others.
Yep.
And that's what's celebrating.
Yeah.
Now that goes back.
We talked a little bit before. We mentioned briefly about you being a published author with a bazillion books to your name. One of the things, and this was, I think, my very first exposure to you, I don't remember which one it was, but I did read one of your books, and that's how I think I put your name with your face, with the interview and everything. I've said this to you, and I say this to everybody that asks. If you go on to my website, matter of fact, I have 7 books that are recommended reading. Yours is number 1 on that. One of yours is number 1 on that list.
I have so many people to thank. Oh my goodness!
I'm telling you, we had the award ceremony.
You believed in me, Mom and Dad. I guess I should thank Rob because he made me number 1.
There you go. But one of the things that I've always liked, and this is for me is a big, if you want to call it a selling point, and you know this yourself firsthand if you've read anybody else's books. I'll say 95% of the world of the paranormal, as far as authors, it's like reading stereo instructions. I think of Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. Oh my God, it's a chore to turn the page. When I first started reading yours, the thing, and again, my ignorant point of view with authorship, it was conversational. In my mind, you were sitting across the table from me having a conversation with me while I was reading your book. And it was real. It was really cool. I've never actually had that before with an author. So your writing style is extremely engaging. And you never talk down to your audience. You explain what's going on. You give them a perspective, but it's always like a serious but entertaining way, and it's conversational. That's the only way I can describe it.
I worked at that, right? Like, so I wasn't like, oh, hey, I'm a local paranormal guy. I should have a book out because that's what prominent people do. Like, I was a writer first.
Yep.
I've been working at it for like 25 years now. And when you do anything for 25 years, chances are you'll get a little bit better at it. But I agonize over every word. When you're writing a book, man, that's your soul. Like,
yeah.
So, by the way, books pay horrible. If you look at the amount of hours that go into making them, you're so far below minimum wage. It's ludicrous. So I've said for years now that writing a book is like an exorcism. You know, like you've got this thing kicking around inside of you, and it starts to haunt you and gnaw away at you. And if you don't, for me anyway, if I don't deal with it in like book form eventually, it will possess me. It'll just be this thing that I can't sleep, I can't eat, I got to deal with it. And so, but I agonize over that. And something else, when you write a book, this is going to sound ironic, I think, for people that maybe have never done it. You should write a book for one person, not for like an audience, not for. If you try to write a book for everybody, I promise you, you will fail. You'll fail in an epic way. But I try to write a book for a single person, and I usually have that specific person in mind. That like I want to tell you about this haunted place.
Okay.
And then I think of that, and for me it gets a lot more concise and real than trying to like cast this wide net.
Huh. So that's where that conversational impression comes from. Is you are actually having a conversation with only one person in your mind while you're writing these words.
That's how I try to do it, because it's just by the way, it gets too daunting trying to think about lots of people reading your stuff, like thousands or whatever, and or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes. You know, some of these things take off, and it's just too scary to think about something like that. It's much easier to think of it as like a letter that you're writing to a friend.
Yep.
And then it becomes it can become a lot more personal and open and honest and free flowing than if you know, I guess it's the difference would be like if you met one of your friends at a bar and you're having a conversation, or I put you in front of a microphone and there's literally a stadium filled with 100,000 people listening.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. I get your point. Yep.
So yeah.
So we got, like we said, Tuesday and Wednesday next week. So if the audience is interested in that, they can go to the Chicopee Library's website. I'm assuming and sign up there. Get the now. Are people going to the libraries, or is this virtual from home?
Yeah, this is all virtual. So what you do is you can go to the Chicopee Library, the Westfield Athenaeum. You can just click on the link and you register, and you get a Zoom meeting link. So wherever you are in the world, you can watch and participate. And you log in at whatever time the start time is. I think let's see, what Chicopee was 6:30.
Okay.
And Westfield is at 7 p.m. And so you just check in a couple minutes early, and we're off. And what's great is I'm live. You can post questions in the chat room, and then at the end I always leave time for Q&A so people can ask about anything they want.
Sure.
And it works. Like my preference is to be there in person and be able to make eye contact, but we can't do that right now.
No.
But we can do this. And one of the things I found through this whole quarantine is that in the beginning I think I just hunkered down like most people, but I missed people so much. And then I started doing like the FaceTimes and the Zoom meetings, and I'm like, all right, this helps. It's not the same, but it's better than nothing.
Yep.
And so I've been taking it as an opportunity to just do a different show every night because I'm in the safety of my own laboratory when I'm doing this.
Sure.
And it's a lot more free-formed and free-flowing than when you put together like a formal show for a live audience. It's been super fun, and I'm grateful that I get to keep doing it. So come on out, come to both.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Well,
again, speaking from experience, the shows are well worth the effort. Very entertaining, very educational. A different point of view maybe on something that you may know basics of a topic, and you're going to get much more detailed into it. And I always enjoyed them. I really did.
Thank you.
And Jeff, the door's always open if you ever want to come out here and host one from the studio. We have plenty of disinfectant.
Yeah.
What do you have for the smell though? Rob's been sitting there a while.
Oh, come on.
That works well. That works well for that too. Yeah.
That is right. All I smell is toasted coconuts and.
Come on, give me a fist bump.
I have Febreze too.
Febreze, nice. Taco Bell before that show. I'm telling you.
Wow.
But so yes, my friend Jeff Belanger, you can check him out Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Check them both out. Incredible shows, and I guarantee you're not going to be disappointed. And hopefully, Jeff, we can get you back out here for real. Love to get together after the show, go back out for some appetizers and some spirits, and that's always a lot of fun hanging out with you afterwards.
At 9 o'clock in the morning?
At 9 o'clock? No. Yeah, wait, what the hell? It's happy hour somewhere when he comes out here, I mean, We can have
True.
Bloody Marys and mimosas.
There
It
you
doesn't
go.
have to be, But
I've done it. Quick story. I
Yeah.
was flying to England, and I landed in Dublin, Ireland first at 4:30 in the morning. And
Okay.
You leave at night in Boston, and you land, And I was my first time in Ireland, and I just went, I'm in Ireland. I should get a Guinness. And so, and I had a connecting flight, by the way. So I go to the little airport bar, which
Yep.
doesn't open until 5 a.m. But my flight's at like 6:30, so I wait, and at 5:01 I walk in, and she's like, "What do you have, love?" And I'm like, "I'll have a Guinness because I'm in Ireland." And she's like, "Of course, I know." And I drank a Guinness, and I'm like, "It's 5 o'clock somewhere," and I was like, "It's 5 o'clock right here." It's just,
That's true.
Oh, that's awesome. I thought you were going to say she wanted to give you a real Irish beer, like a Budweiser.
No, I had Guinness in Dublin at 5 a.m.
I've got a friend of mine that owns a Chinese restaurant locally to me. And I remember one night getting out of work late, and I called him up, and I was like, look, I haven't had dinner. I know you're about to close. Can you throw me together at dinner? He's like, yeah, Bobby, come on in. He said, I'll hook you up. So I get there, and the restaurant's closed. So I go walking in there, and he and I are the only two in there, and he says to me, he says, hey, you want some good Chinese beer? I said, yeah, I've never had Chinese beer. Comes out with a can of Budweiser. I'm freaking dying laughing. It just cracked me up. But
you know what? So Budweiser is made with rice, and so is like a lot of Chinese beers, like Sing Sao, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
They taste a lot alike because they're both rice brewed.
Okay.
It's cheaper. I mean, if you're into that.
It's a lot cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever. People like Bud. Why do you drink what you like? It's all
Yep.
good.
It cracked me up because that was Chinese beer, he said.
That could also be a political problem. The beer choice.
Well, maybe.
We have a lot of great breweries. You got to come out here. We have a lot of great breweries here now. So
I know,
Oh, yeah.
and my mission is to try them all, and there's thousands and thousands. So and I wanna give them all
I
a
may
fair
talk to
shake.
you about another show idea I got brewing. I'm gonna call you sometime this week.
right.
And I do mean brewing.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Haunted breweries.
Haunted breweries.
Oh, I'm in.
Take 7.
Hey, how about
Here
just
we are at
how about
the-
just breweries?
Oh, you're my best friend. I love you. Boom. All the credits.
All right. Well, listen, my friend, I've kept you long enough. I don't want to monopolize your morning. I thank you so much for coming on the show and doing these programs for these local libraries. They're awesome.
Yeah,
And,
thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
Hopefully we can get you out here again physically and, like I said, hang out. I do have a picture I want to show you. That,
Oh, good. Is there an orb in it? Because
no.
that's a demon every time.
Yeah. I know it.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, there you go. You don't have to
No,
show me now.
we one of the investigations that we did at a local historical site, my psychic walked into one of the rooms and she just stopped. I literally almost ran her over. And she looks into the corner and she says, Rob, there's an old woman sitting at a spinning wheel right there. Now, I'm as psychic as a stone. I don't profess any ability. I see nothing. Well, later on, now, like you guys, I'm sure, when we're using our IR still cameras, we take 3 photos at a time. So I have comparative information. Well, the first and the third photo, there's nothing there. The middle photo, I'll be damned if there's not a woman sitting at a freaking spinning wheel.
Love it.
And in the middle photo, 1 and 3, nothing. And they were only a second apart. And I want to show you that picture. If somebody had come to me at a library or something like that and shown me this, I would have told you it was Photoshopped.
Very cool, man.
I have never seen a picture like this before, and I'd love to get your view on it when you come up next time you're out
Sounds
this way.
good, man. Hey, I got a delivery of stone pulling into my driveway right now. I got to tend to it.
All right,
you go.
brother. Well, hey, Jeffrey, thank
Good
you so
seeing you guys.
much. Good luck with your shows. I will talk to you soon, my friend. You be good, all right?
Thank you.
Best
Take
to
care.
your family, all right?
You too. Thanks.
Take care, buddy. All right. So that was Jeff Belanger joining us from way out in a Bridgeport Triangle somewhere, with Bigfoot walking around with a Donald Trump hat in the background, if you missed that. So let's get back into, I'm going to skip the news of the weird because and we're not doing a craft corner this week.
Right.
So let's just jump right into our next double play. This is a segment that I added to the show a couple of weeks back called Golf Stock. This is my nephew Jeremy, and again, great talent. This one here does not have a video, so you're just going to have our logo going, or Jeremy's logo, hopefully going in the background.
Of course.
And
I'm awake this week.
Nice. So we're going to hear his version of Cat Stevens' Wild World, followed by Phil Collins in The Air Tonight. And you are listening to Bobby G and Company on WSKB. Maybe you're watching us on CPC, your local Channel 15.